Welcome to the It's in Queens podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Simmons, and this is the only podcast that focuses on Queens. This podcast is brought to you each week thanks to the Queens Economic Development Corporation and the Queens Tourism Council. Together, they work to showcase our borough as a destination filled with great experiences, cultural gems, opportunities for everyone who lives here, works here, or is visiting from near or far. Now that spring is in full swing, more and more of us are getting outside to enjoy everything that Queens has to offer. As the weather warms up, our borough comes alive with sidewalk tables, neighborhood festivals, community gatherings, and outdoor events that make it easier than ever to spend a day exploring close to home. Across Queens, business improvement districts are often at the center of that activity. They help to create the kind of lively streets where visitors and neighbors alike can shop and dine and stroll and discover something new. Whether it's a street fair, a seasonal celebration, a block party, or an outdoor market, these districts help draw people in and support the restaurants and stores and local businesses that give each neighborhood its personality. For those who aren't familiar with business improvement districts or BIDs, they're organizations that are made up of local property owners and businesses that work together to improve commercial corridors. They help with neighborhood beautification, marketing, events, streetscape improvements, advocacy, and other efforts designed to make business districts more welcoming and active and successful. One of the organizations doing this important work in Western Queens is the Long Island City Partnership. It plays a major role in supporting the area's economic development, promoting local businesses, advocating for the neighborhood, and helping to shape Long Island City as a vibrant place to live, work, and visit. The partnership also helps connect the community to events and opportunities that showcase the best of Long Island City, from its restaurants and shops to its parks, cultural venues, and of course, the waterfront. And with the neighborhood continuing to grow and evolve, that kind of leadership matters even more. Coming up on Saturday, May 30th is LIC Springs, one of the area's signature springtime events. It's a celebration of Long Island City's energy and creativity and local business community, with outdoor activities, neighborhood participation, and plenty of reasons to spend the day exploring the district. So joining us this week is Laura Rothrock, president of the Long Island City Partnership and executive director of the Long Island City Business Improvement District, which is managed by the partnership. Let's get to that interview. Laura Rothrock, welcome back to the It's in Queens podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So Long Island City has changed a lot over the years. I'd love for you to start off by talking about what shifts you've seen most recently.
Well, it's interesting because the Long Island City Partnership just came out with our data snapshot for the spring of 2026, hot off the presses yesterday. And so we have been tracking the population and the number of units that have opened and all the activity in Long Island City. And I mean residential units, but also there's, a lot of commercial being built, hotels, et cetera. We found that there's been a 70% increase in the population from 2014 to 2024, which is huge. And most of that can be accounted for with all of the new development that's happened in Long Island City. So it's really because of land use changes and all of the housing that's been able to be built in the neighborhood. People always talk about how the skyline has changed so much in Long Island City and the neighborhood has changed. And that was going back to the early 2000s when there was a rezoning there that changed the area from industrial low level to commercial to allow for larger mixed use developments. And so ever since then, there has been really an increase in development, which has led to an increase in the population.
So how would you describe the identity of Long Island City today, especially when we look back 5 or even 10 years ago?
Well, so in addition to all of the new development, we found that the population here has the fastest growing group has been Asian and Asian Americans, and also many graduate students. Many graduate students, especially international graduate students, have made Long Island City home. And a lot of them are staying in the area. So we're seeing a lot of young people and a lot of young families. And that's been a trend in the last 5 or 10 years.
And how has the partnership helped to shape the neighborhood as it continues to grow? Because I want to make sure that people know the role the LIC partnership plays in the area.
Yeah, so with the growing population, we advocate for the city to make sure that there's better transportation, mobility, and open space because with all of this influx of population, we have to make sure that there's enough school seats, that there's places for people to go, that the quality of life is improved. And as part of that, we also have the business improvement district where we provide direct services on the street. So we have a sanitation team that's out there 7 days a week. We do horticulture. We plant tulips and hanging flower baskets throughout the neighborhood, and we have our banners. So we make sure that the neighborhood is safe and it's clean. And because of the growing population, and I talked a lot about the residential population, but also jobs in Long Island City have grown as well. And with the increased foot traffic, we found that we had to expand the boundaries of our bid. So we recently went through a bid expansion process, which is a very complicated and long process that took us over
Oh,
3 years,
yes.
but we expanded the bid to include a larger geographic area, which it more than doubled in size. So now we're providing those services to a larger portion of the neighborhood. And then some of our events that we host, we used to be a very business focused organization, and we still are, but we focus a lot of our programming on connecting the residents with the businesses. So we've had to shift some of our programming because of the change in the demographic. So we've now in we just had our fifth Lunar New Year celebration, um, highlighting the many Chinese and Asian businesses throughout the neighborhood, and having a lion dance in the neighborhood. We have a big Halloween celebration now with trick or treating, to respond to a lot of the young families in the neighborhood. We also worked with the city on the 1LIC rezoning to make sure that a lot of those infrastructure and transportation improvements that I talked about would be planned for the neighborhood, and that Long Island City would get the resources that it needs to sustain this growing population. And we also have our LIC Springs program, which I know we're going to talk a little bit more about.
Yep, that's exactly what I wanted to go into. You're talking about events, LIC Springs. I was there for the first one years ago. Talk a little about its history and how it has really evolved over the years.
Yeah, so LIC Springs started in 2013, and apparently you were there. Um, and it's
I was much
grown.
younger then. Anyway.
It has grown. We've had it every year since. I think there was one year where we skipped due to COVID, but it has grown alongside our neighborhood. So we've had more and more businesses that have participated. We've had more and more people come to Vernon Boulevard in Long Island City for the event. And it's truly a unique street festival. So businesses and organizations can participate, but they must have a physical presence in Long Island City. And that we don't allow any sales on the street. So it's not like your street fair where, as people like to say, the tube socks and sausage street fair. Um, it's very local and we make it accessible to everyone. So we focus the energy on the community. So businesses program different activities that highlight their business and what their products and what they do. And we also have a main stage that allows for performances from local artists and local schools in the neighborhood.
And tell our listeners when it's happening this year, because I've been there when you had an amazingly large crowd, which was wonderful. And and if there are any other highlights that you want to bring up, I'd love for our listeners to know about any can't miss moments.
Sure. So this year, 2026, LIC Springs will take place on Saturday, May 30th from 12 to 5 p.m. on Vernon Boulevard between 46th and 50th Avenues. And just a couple of highlights to expect this year. So Manducati's Rustica, which is a beloved neighborhood staple restaurant on Vernon Boulevard, is going to be hosting a pasta eating contest. So that will be really fun. Hopefully, everybody that wants to participate can start warming up now and eating a lot of pasta to prepare. Um, Urzua Performing Arts is also going to have aerial silks trials and performances. We have Tiger J Taekwondo, which is going to do a board breaking activity and demonstration, which is fun for kids. And then for the adults, Hunters Point Wines and Spirits is going to have a drink pink rosé wine tasting. So rosé all day. And the Hunters Point Parks Conservancy is going to be having an animals from Newtown Creek event. Now, don't ask me what animals from Newtown Creek they are going to be bringing because I do not know. And I don't want to have any spoilers. You'll have to come to LIC Springs to find out and meet the animals from Newtown Creek.
And I think what's really important too is LIC Springs also showcases and supports local businesses and the broader community because you don't just get residents, but you get people from across New York City who come.
Yeah, so LIC Springs is really accessible. It's right there on the 7 train. If you're coming from Manhattan, it's one stop from Grand Central. So it's really easy to get to. You can also take NYC Ferry, which is one of our partners as well. And all the participating businesses, as I said, they have to be LIC based and members of our organization, but it's free for them to participate as well. So there's no additional registration fees like you maybe would see in other street fairs throughout the city. So it really is a local celebration of the neighborhood.
And what is something about Long Island City right now that might surprise people who have not visited in a while?
So I hear all the time from people who say, "Oh, I was recently in Long Island City and it's changed so much." And they're really talking about the changing skyline that I mentioned with all the new development. But another change is really the food. So I had mentioned that Long Island City now has the fastest growing Asian population in the city, and the local businesses really reflect that. So there's a lot of Asian cuisine, really authentic Chinese, Taiwanese, Thai, Japanese, Korean. There's many other types of restaurants as well, not just Asian, but you'll really see the proliferation of Asian restaurants and really, really good food. And most of the restaurants here are accessible too. They're very welcoming. The menus are not too intimidating, but some of them maybe will be dishes that you just wouldn't find anywhere else. So I would really encourage people to come down, do a food crawl, maybe come to LIC Springs and then visit some of the restaurants afterwards.
And that's one of the hopes because and I think that's important to stress is that people who might be discovering a new restaurant or two don't just go to LIC Springs, come back again and again.
Right, exactly. And we also have MoMA PS1, which is now free for everyone. It was previously free for local residents. But that's another major draw into the neighborhood. So we are seeing that people will come, they'll go to MoMA PS1, they'll explore the neighborhood, and LIC Springs is another way to really get people to come here. And hopefully they'll come back again and again and visit some of these small local businesses as well.
And I want our listeners to also know where they should go if they want to discover everything that's in store, not just with LIC Springs, but all of your other programming. Where should they go?
So licqns.com, which is pretty easy to remember. You can find more information about LIC Springs. There's a neighborhood map with all the businesses listed, information about getting to LIC, and all the other events in the neighborhood, not just ours, but we have a community calendar of all the things to do in the neighborhood as well.
Laura Rothrock, I want to thank you so much for joining us here again on the It's in Queens podcast.
Thank you.
That was Laura Rothrock, who leads the LIC partnership. And it's always great to hear about the work happening in a neighborhood that continues to grow in such exciting ways. And LIC Springs is a perfect reminder of what makes this season so special in our borough. Springtime gives us a chance to slow down just enough to notice our neighborhoods differently, to walk a little further, to linger a little longer, and enjoy the places that make our borough feel so alive. From food and shopping to culture and commerce, this is the time of year when Queens really shines. It's also a season that invites us to keep exploring, whether that means revisiting a favorite neighborhood or discovering one you haven't spent enough time in yet. In Queens, every spring seems to bring a new reason to get outside and see what's happening around the corner. Now, if you're looking to do just that, to get out and discover what's around the corner, well, that's where Rob Mackay comes in. He's with the Queens Economic Development Corporation and the Queens Tourism Council. And each week he brings us details on some of the more dynamic events that are happening in the borough. Here's this week's report.
Well, Jeff, it's time to get a haircut. No, not you. The sheep at Queens County Farm Museum. The 15th annual Snip Snip Cut Cut Festival is on Saturday, May 16th, starting at 10 a.m. They have a master shearer from Dutchess County whose name is Donald Kading, and he will do the honors to a group of Jacob sheep, Cormo sheep, Wayaka alpaca, and Nigerian goats. From 10 to 5, you get it. You watch sessions, and it's quite exciting. Plus, the experience includes live demonstrations of dyeing, spinning, weaving, knitting, everything kind of related to the magic of wool. And of course, there will be live musical entertainment along with food trucks. And what's also kind of cool is that all the wool that is sheared on that day will go to a place called Battenkill Fibers in the Hudson River Valley, where they process it and return it to the farm in the form of sustainable yarn. So it's a lot of fun. You got to see the little kids where they scream when they do when they first see the shearing, and the goats and the sheep are so cute after they get their haircuts. All right, thanks.
Thanks, Rob. That's just a few of the things that are happening in our borough. There's always something new to taste and see and enjoy, from dumplings and dosas to tacos and noodles and seafood and pastries. I could just go on. There's so much more. Well, the borough just keeps rewarding anyone willing to explore a little further and eat a little more adventurously. But don't just stop at eating. Visit new neighborhoods and discover, again, what's just around the corner. Now remember, if you're looking for some opportunities, well, here's where you need to go. Head right over to the It's in Queens website, and that website address is itsinqueens.com. And if you're interested in more business-related news, how to help your business or friends or family members, well, then visit the QEDC's website at queensny.org. And when you're there, or when you visit the It's in Queens website, take a moment and sign up for their newsletter. And by the way, when you visit any neighborhood in Queens, or when you're attending LIC Springs on May 30th, snap some photos. When you post them on Instagram or on X, make sure to use the hashtag #It'sInQueens, because your photo could become our photo of the week. I'm your host, Jeff Simmons, and that's it for this week's It's in Queens podcast.